In order to understand immorality, one could argue that you need to know morality so that you have design and anti-design. You want to say it differently, and theologically you have what is the righteous standard and you have what is the unrighteous standard. What I find is the greatest challenge for me is that most know what not to do, but they don't know what to do. The fact is, as we go back to the scriptures and we see this body of biblical evidence that suggests, and even more so points to the fact, that sexuality is about oneness. That God is one, Deuteronomy 6 verse 4. That the church is one. Jesus said that in John 17. And in marriage we are one flesh. Akad basar in Hebrew. And it talks about their one flesh, as and said, and the man and woman were busa. They were not ashamed. They were thrilled at the prospect that they, as two physical separate entities, could become one flesh. Because when we talk about sexuality, we're talking about oneness. And there's a lot of details we can go into, but our time is short. So therefore, when we talk about the oneness of God, immorality, and the oneness in the church, and the oneness in marriage, anything that is contrary to that oneness is by definition idolatry. God is one. Adultery in marriage. And isn't it curious that in the Word of God, the word idolatry and adultery are used interchangeably? For example, in James chapter 4, James doesn't say you idolaters, friendship with the world is hostility toward God. He says you adulterers. Well, why? Why call them adulterers? They didn't have sexual intercourse with somebody. Why are you calling it adultery? Because adultery and idolatry are both anti-oneness. And that's really important for us to understand. Why does he call Israel, as they are engaging in other worship of other gods besides the one true God, the Akkad of God, why does he call them adulterers? Oh, he also calls them idolaters. It's the same sin. See, adultery and idolatry are the same sin. They're anti-oneness. And God designed us for oneness. He didn't design us for two-ness. No, he didn't design us to worship two gods. He didn't design us. In fact, remember that Colossians says that the things that we do amount to idolatry, Colossians 3. We focus our attention on the one, keep focused on the things above and not on the things in the earth, remember? And then he goes on to say, consider the members of your earthly body as dead to immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and greed, which amounts to idolatry. Why greed? Because you can't love God and mammon, two gods. He's the one God. We worship the one God. So it makes theological sense, doesn't it, when we think about that and to understand this. Because I find, most importantly, that people have a distorted understanding, and that's what gets them in trouble. We need to start with the design and understand the anti-design.